This stretch got really deep gravel and I got a little anxious about it. So I stopped and I let Moxie off and let me ride up ahead without Moxie, and then Moxie jogged alongside and it was perfect. Moxie, Greg, and I are riding around the world to raise $100,000 for the nonprofit Girl Up. We're donating 10% of RUFFLY sales to the fundraiser and posting a new episode every week. It's a big dog on two wheels adventure for girls' empowerment. So follow along and please lend your support. From Sumter, we continued on into the National Forest, and then it sort of comes out of National Forest land, and then maybe it's BLM land. It's sort of hard to tell. We haven't figured out what the legend on Google Maps really means.
What's on the lunchtime menu? Apples and hummus. Which is how my mom likes to say it. She likes to really get in there with that. The CH, the hummus, she digs deep for it. I don't know where she really got that idea, but very authentic. Very tasty. Hummus with garlic and chocolate covered almonds for Jess. So here's the plan. We are gonna hide some pieces of sausage, hot dog. Here's the plan.
Wait, you gotta wait after ding, and then you gotta wait.
I have placed pieces of the hot dog in various spots along the fence, and now we are gonna give Moxie the special command. Moxie, search! Search! I don't even remember where I put it. I think she missed one. She did. Lift your head, lift your snout. There we go.
Just a quick time out to tell you how you can support the GoRUFFLY Around the World adventure for Girl Up. You can donate directly to Girl Up at GoRuffly.com/world-adventure. You can make a purchase at GoRuffly.com where 10% goes towards the fundraiser. Tell all your friends and family about it. And of course, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much. Now back to the adventure.
We've set up camp here just a little bit off the forest road, and it is a brisk night. It's getting chilly. There's a little bit of sun peeking through, but it is a very stingy sun. But the good thing is it hasn't started raining yet, which the forecast suggests will happen. And the bug count situation is moderate. Meanwhile, Jess is setting up things inside the tent. That's her favorite part, is getting ready for the sleeping.
I found these lentils. These, what do they call them? Autumn blend. So it's a bunch of different colored lentils. The red, the white, the green. Moxie's licking her hot dogs.
High five. Good girl. Speak. That's a speak. Good girl.
So we're having the autumn lentils, and with that we're having sweet potato and spinach with it, and some garnishes. So we'll see how that goes. I've also got some naan again from my favorite grocery outlet place. So we'll be having that.
So Jessica, is the rest of the army going to show up pretty soon?
I always overdo it with the lentils. I don't know why. I feel like we need to have so much. It's only 1 cup of lentils, but it's also like 2.5 cups of potatoes, and onions.
Expo Center.
And then for dessert, I've got my pumpkin pie.
Okay, Jessica, what were you trying to sneak into your pannier?
They had these pumpkin pies on sale. I thought this was a nice dessert for tonight.
We are on a motorcycle trip. We are wild camping tonight. You've gone to the grocery outlet bargain market, which is like your new favorite place.
Yeah, they've got a lot of great stuff. Do you know they had these, they're not tortillas, they're made out of egg, and they're egg wraps.
And you didn't want us to try that?
You have to put them in the fridge, keep them in the fridge.
Yeah. So this, what we've determined, is a little bit like a dollar store meets Whole Foods, because there's a lot of hoity-toity stuff as well, but at very, very reasonable prices. But you're trying to get away from the point here, which is this scrumptious looking pumpkin pie, which I will eat the shit out of, no question.
It's gonna sit on the top of my case. That was my thought.
This is gonna be interesting, especially with how ugly the weather is looking. It's summertime, if you can believe it. So we may well be in for some rain. Interesting how that's not fitting. Hope and a prayer. Hope and a prayer. Oh, look at that. Look at you.
Stay pretty. It just needs to have
you will not ever be able to go back into this during the day. Pumpkin pie for dessert. Can you believe it? The real question, though, is how much will Jessica allow me to have? Because I feel like I could just go to town on that thing. So I will be kept moderately under control. Though I do feel like I've earned it. A lot of physical activity this afternoon with standing on my motorcycle. So I feel like I've had a whole gym session.
I think that it was a good practice being on gravel, especially because of the roads that we're going to be doing as we get further north. So it was good practice, and I think that after today's 2 hours of gravel roads, tomorrow's will be a lot easier.
Tomorrow's roads will be easier until or unless it starts to rain, because as soon as it starts to piss, all bets are off. Now, it started drizzling early this morning, and then it turned into a rain, and then back to a drizzle, and it's been on and off and up and down like that for the last few hours. Fortunately, the road conditions are pretty reasonable.
We have a bunch of forest roads to get us to our next stop, which is actually going to be an Amazon locker.
It started out at 5 degrees this morning, and now it is a blazing hot 6.5 degrees. Some of us are making coffee, and others are digging for gold. A lot of gravel. Gravel is strewn everywhere. It's all gravel riding today. A few sections of sort of rockier, sort of, road that was more affected by rains, a little bit more sort of unevenness.
This stretch, not right here, but further behind me, got really deep gravel, and I got a little anxious about it. So I stopped, I don't know, like 4 switchbacks back, and I let Moxie off, and Greg let me ride up ahead without Moxie, and then Moxie jogged alongside as Greg made his way up, and it was perfect. It's obviously much easier to do the gravel without having the weight on the back, and allows me to go at a bit of a faster speed, or at least I feel like I can, so I can just sort of glide over that gravel. And that's what my challenge was when I had Moxie on the back, is I was just sort of staying in a lower gear because I was like trying to get more control, which is complete opposite to what you really should be doing in gravel. So this gave me a nice feeling of confidence to be able to ride that, and it did get worse back here. So I'm glad I did that. And now we're heading on further, and it's more of like this here, which is easy. So that's not going to be a problem. And we have about another hour left until we get out of this section.
Moxie had some great exercise, which is definitely what she needed. She's been a bit over energetic. Somehow, in this last 3-day stretch of work, Moxie did extra double time, triple time resting. So she's just been like too much the last day or so. And this morning's jog has been exactly what she needs, because now she's laying down sleeping.
There she is.
So a few days back, we were in Bend, Oregon, where we met with Harold from Giant Loop. And he gifted us very generously a couple of gas bags for going further north into BC and then the Yukon and beyond, where things get crazy in terms of the distance you have to go without being able to get gas. And so I've been really kind of racking my brain, where am I going to put these things? And of course I could just roll them up and put them in the Giant Loop Tillamook's, and that's fine. But then every time you set up camp, you know, all those things that don't sort of have to do with setting up camp have to kind of get thrown aside, and it's just more clutter, right? So it's kind of nice if everything's got its spot and it only gets disturbed if and when it is going to be used. And so I was very proud of myself and pleased to come up with a great spot for the 2 gas bags.
At Indian Lake. They are having a fish derby this weekend, and there actually is trout in the lake. So they are doing this whole thing. And so we came by and we saw all of these people camping. We're like, wow, this is a big to do. So we just stopped by to see what it looks like when we're out on the lake in the boats.
The conditions are kind of sucking here. We can like see it in the sky that we've been going west into the storm, getting the edge. Now we're going north, which should leave the storm behind us, but it's a question of whether or not the storm is chasing us and really is just a dark cloud over our heads.
Our next stop is actually going to be an Amazon walker. It's a good way to collect things that you need shipped to you along the way by having them sent to Amazon walkers along the way. And that way we can just go collect it, get rid of whatever packaging there is, and take it along. We're going to start getting into Washington. So we will leave Oregon today, head into Washington, camp there for the night, and then make our way over towards Seattle the next day.
When the conditions are difficult, windy, cold, rainy, and particularly a combination of 2 or more of those, it gets tough to do the wild camping every night. And yet at the same time, it's financially really difficult to sort of just do motels and hotels whenever you just don't feel like camping, or when the weather is sort of not making it pleasant. And most of us who are doing these kind of trips, we don't have unlimited resources. We have RUFFLY, we have a business, but it's far from meaning that we have unlimited resources. Very limited. So buy RUFFLY. But improved campground is the next best option. And that's particularly the case when it's colder or wetter and the improved campground has showers, because that can kind of clean you up and then give you what you need in terms of refreshing for another couple of days of wild camping. That is not the forest on fire that's blowing into my face. It is actually camp cooking, and it smells good.
We're probably going to head towards Yakima, I think, and then continue on closer towards Seattle and do another wild camping night again today. So we have pretty good weather actually right now. The sun is peeking out. There have been a few little droplets, but nothing bad. So probably the best weather we've had in like 2 weeks. I'm calling my dad for Father's Day.
Jessica's parents are Swiss, and they speak to her in Swiss German.
The where?
And Jessica speaks to them in English.
Hi, Mama.
so I only ever understand half of the conversation. Jessica and I are in a disagreement about whether or not this thing over here is actually a hitching post or is intended to be a hitching post for your pet's leash while you go into the bathroom. If that's not how it's intended, it definitely works perfectly for that. Just drop the leash handle over it, walk into the bathroom, your pet stays right there, you come out, pick it up, go on. I guess the only issue is if multiple people use it at a time, you'll have a stack of like leash handles there and then you kind of get into trouble. But for one pet per post, perfect.
We are at the Precision Fruit Stand. I wanted to stop at a fruit stand because we're in this area of beautiful agriculture, whole bunch of orchards here in Yakima County. And so we are going to go in and see what they have so that we can have something good for camping tonight.
I definitely achieved better results than Jess. I got some peaches, some apricots, an apple, some cherries, and a cider. I don't know if I'm a cider guy or not, but this is lemonade and tea, hard cider.
Moxie's been busy chasing creatures. First it was the elk. Must have been an elk.
She just started growling and then barking and
he was right here on the road. Moxie, come. And now she has a squirrel up the tree and it just keeps whining and whining. I think it's trying to get her to move out of the way so that it can come down. But she's just sitting there watching it and she's not ready to budge.
what we're wondering is if the squirrel is summoning other squirrels, like the whole tribe or community of squirrels, to like flank Moxie on all sides, sort of like velociraptors. Do squirrels communicate that way? We are trying to support our dog by checking the other treetops and the other hillocks to see if we see other squirrels.
Why it's always coming towards me?
It's a mystery about fires that that's the way it works. It always is like sort of drawn towards your face.
We just came through the Chinook Pass, and this is the first time that we've seen this much snow. Like, look at this. Like, everything is snow covered. Around here, it's all covered as well.
And it's June.
And it's June.
This is June weather.
Yeah. And Moxie's learning that she can lick the snow and eat the snow. So she's got that down already.
Moxie, are you having a snow cone? It might be like an elk pea snow cone. I think that they say that in cold conditions, you know, dehydration is like the silent killer, right?
Hi guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. My off-roading has gotten better, but I'm noticing that I'm still doing some things incorrectly, or I'm not doing the proper technique all the time, which is to be expected. But you can see in this episode where I was in the deep gravel, I started sort of getting in my head because it was getting more difficult, and I realized that because we were going through the forest, we were doing, there were some sort of switchbacks and turns through it, and I really wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, which was to lean the bike, stick my candy out the way that Gina taught me, to really look through that turn and sort of like prep before the turn. And I wasn't doing that. I'm not exactly sure why. It just, it just wasn't second nature at that moment. And I think that's what really got me and why it was more difficult than it really should have been. But you saw that I let Moxie down once I got a little bit worked up and felt like it was getting really deep. And that was the right thing to do for me, because by letting her down, I took a breath, took a moment, and then continued on. I stood up, I went out there, had the speed that I needed to get over that gravel, because I think that was what was holding me back. I was going too slow with her on the back, and that was making me feel even more unstable. So by letting her off, and I was able to just sort of ride my ride, and it wasn't that far of a distance, and she enjoyed the jog. So that's the way that that situation worked out, and I think it was the best for all of us. You'll have seen in some of the past episodes that when the road gets really difficult, I do let Moxie down. The good thing about her is she knows to the right and to the left, those commands. And that is really key, so that when I'm riding and I have her down, it's obviously a tough section, so I'm really paying attention to the road, but I also need to pay attention to my dog and the oncoming traffic. So by telling Moxie to the right, she knows to stay on the far right of the lane, and so she won't come in front of me and throw me off a line or what I'm doing. And she seems to understand it really well, and I just make sure that I have sort of my visor up so that I can yell over the command if I feel like she's wavering into my lane or anything like that. So that keeps it safe for both of us. And then when we're finished the tough section, put the kickstand down, get her back up, and then we just keep on going. And I really like that, because it takes the pressure off of feeling like I have to do everything with her on the back, that there is no alternative. And I think you guys know that I have issues with my own self-confidence and my confidence as a rider, and that would make it a lot more challenging for me to feel like this was the only way. I have to do it with Moxie. But by having the option of letting her down, takes the pressure off, makes the experience more enjoyable, and it makes it safer for everyone. Did you guys see my pumpkin pie? I enjoy cooking at the campsite. I also enjoy nice things, especially nice treats. My chocolate almonds are some of my favorite desserts to have. But I enjoy things that I can get at the supermarket. And the reason why I do those things is because it makes camping more enjoyable for me. We camp for 4 nights in a row, and we do it consistently, so we need to keep it interesting. And if that means getting an interesting food for dinner that night, or a drink, a special drink. Greg has been enjoying the ciders, so we've been getting some of those in the evening. And then desserts are always a good one for me and put a smile on my face. So the pumpkin pie was just one of those things that brought me pleasure, and it made camping that much more fun that night. I know some people like to camp and be a little bit more minimalist, like maybe they'll bring cans of stuff or dehydrated food that they can rehydrate at the campsite, and whatever works for you. But for us, I want to keep it interesting. If we're going to be camping, like I love being by the water, to being able to bathe and swim and have Moxie in the water too, and I enjoy cooking. So whatever it is that brings you pleasure, you need to keep doing that, because otherwise the camping can get old pretty fast, especially if you are doing wild camping or if there isn't water nearby. It can become a bit of a slog. So keep those things in mind when you're thinking about longer term travel and about the accommodations that you have, because getting a pumpkin pie at the grocery store is a lot cheaper than having to pay for a hotel because you're tired of camping. I hope you guys really enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube and at GoRUFFLY for Facebook and Instagram. Talk to you soon.